Greetings. This is Keith Singleton. My name is Keith Singleton, and I am the host and of Here Is My Point, HIMP. Um, I'm coming on here today because there were questions about my discussion of Michael Jordan being the GOAT of the NBA. And I want to, again, reclarify some of the facts that I know, and you can go check for yourselves to see if it holds water, like somebody said in a famous movie quote. First of all, okay, what we know about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan in 1984 came into the league. He signed a 7-year rookie deal, correct? Now, midway through that contract in 1988, Michael Jordan gets a deal from the Chicago Bulls, and they forfeit the last 3 years of his rookie contract, and he signed him to another contract in 1988 that expanded it to 1996. It was an 8-year deal. He gets paid very well for this extension or expansion. Again, in the same year, in 1988, two expansion teams came into the league. Coincidence? Okay, you can say it is coincidence, but I'm going to bring it up that it's not so much a coincidence later on in the discussion. Well, in the rant, or you might say, because nobody's talking with me. In 1988, two expansion teams came in, the Charlotte Hornets and the Miami Heat. In the succeeding year, 1989, an additional expansion team comes in 1989. And that was I believe was the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, what does this have to do with Michael Jordan? Okay, this is a good point. When you have expansion teams, to fill out the rosters of the expansion teams, you have to take from the existing players on the existing NBA teams in the league. They have an NBA draft that draft existing players on NBA teams at that time. And if you don't believe that happened, ask what team B.J. Armstrong went. And later on in 1994, when they had another expansion team come in. But we'll get to that later on. So, the coincidence that Michael Jordan signs an expansion contract to 1996 from 88. Okay, his first contract was stopped pretty much, and the Chicago Bulls signed him to a new contract to expand his contract to 1996 from 88. Okay, so Jordan wins the championships in 90, 91, 91, 92, and 92, 93. Okay, how long does it take a team to create a chemistry where they play well together, right? So the league says it takes about 4 to 5 years to get this done. Yep, for a team to be able to get and keep the existing players that they have, so that people get used to playing with one another and know what roles each player should play, right? So if these expansion teams came in, this is his first three-peat, he gets, I believe that Michael Jordan benefited from the expansion teams, because what they did is that when they drafted players to fulfill the three expansion teams that came in, they diluted those existing teams, right? They took away some of their chemistry that they had, because a lot of those people who were up on contract, who were not protected, had to go to those teams. They got drafted. Okay, so Jordan pretty much still had a good Chicago Bulls team that he was on. He had all the players, the role players, and they were pretty much had, learn how to play with one another. Okay, which references three-peat. How can you win 3 championships in a row if the league is unbalanced? It's not unbalanced, right? No NBA team should be able to accomplish that, right? So again, here we go again. 1993. The last time that Jordan had won in his first three-peat, he retires in October of 1993 from the NBA. Now, in 1994, he signs a baseball contract with the Chicago White Sox, still in Chicago, under the I believe it's under the same ownership. Okay, now remember that he retires in 1993 from the NBA. So if you retire, that means that any contract that you have is finished. You've ended your contract. You've gotten out of your contract to retire. Now, in 1994, what happened in 1994? Two more expansion teams came into the league. Okay? They were the Toronto Raptors and the Vancouver Grizzlies, eventually came the Memphis Grizzlies in 1994. Now, again, the same rules apply. When expansion teams come in, they have to be facilitated by existing NBA players on existing NBA teams. Okay? And at this point, I bring up BJ Armstrong. BJ Armstrong was part of the Chicago Bulls' first three-peat team. And because he was on the Chicago Bulls at the time, and he was probably not under contract, he was drafted by the Toronto Raptors. He was later traded to the Warriors, but he was drafted by the Toronto Raptors in that NBA draft. You can check it. You can go back and check the books. You can go Wikipedia, any source that you can check, you can find out. As soon as those teams are fulfilled in 1994, the Toronto Raptors and the Vancouver Grizzlies, those teams are fulfilled with their roster. The next year in 1995, Jordan announces that he's coming back to the NBA. He is back, the famous "I'm back" quote. Okay? And what happened? Did he sign a new contract in 1995? No. Jordan resumed the contract that he was on, that he had signed in 1988. If he really retired in 1993, why is it not necessary for him to sign a new contract in 1995? He's coming back to the NBA. He was never retired, guys. He was tethered to his contract, and they tethered him through the Chicago White Sox and the baseball team. He still was under contract. It came to resume the contract that he signed in 1988 when he came back in 1995. Okay? Jordan the wins the championship in 1995, 96, 96, 97, 97, 98. Again, three-peat, coincidence. Prior to that, expansion teams come in. After the expansion teams come in, Michael Jordan gets another three-peat. First time he got his three-peat, three expansion teams came in prior to him starting winning his championships. Second, the three-peat that he got, two more expansion teams come in a year prior to him winning his championships. Is this a coincidence, or is this a method that it follows? You can win championships when you keep a couple of teams with their existing players that have existing chemistry together. Or you can bring people who are seasoned professionals, know how to make the adjustments very quickly, and establish chemistry on teams, i.e. player Rodman. Again, this is why I question the GOAT conversation with Michael Jordan. I'm not taking away that Michael Jordan was a great player. He's probably go down as one of the greatest players, and the NBA owes him a lot. He kept the NBA alive. He's still, for argumentally, the face of the NBA. People talk about, they compare people coming into the league now, and the man has been gone from the league for years. And they still compare him to the great Michael Jordan. Again, Michael Jordan, for lack of a better word, to me is not that amazing, because I played street ball, right? So what Michael Jordan brought to the NBA, he brought hood ball to the hardwood. He brought hood ball to the hardwood. And that's what he did. And if you go to any hood or any neighborhood of basketball, you go to places like Rutgers or Fort Grable in Washington, D.C., which was big. I'm from D.C. These guys were, you saw people like Jordan playing on those basketball court. They played the very same way, very same style, very, very, for lack of a better word, they had style. They played with style. So you're talking about style basketball. These people are so skilled that their skill set is playing basketball. They can create a style. They can create their own style, and that's what Michael Jordan did. He brought something that was not too much seen in the basketball. I wouldn't say that because Magic and Bird did the same prior to Jordan. They brought neighborhood basketball to the hardwood. So that is my rant. That is my details. You can go check them. Go check the expansion teams that came in 1988 and 89, and check the expansion teams that came in 1994. And these expansions happened prior to Jordan starting winning his championships. Okay. And to sum it up, again, my GOAT, for me, if I had to choose, if it's a personal for me, I'm not saying this should be a universal choice, but Magic Johnson is my GOAT because I believe Magic Johnson could have performed in every era of basketball in the NBA and have been a great player. That's just my opinion, and that's my point. So thank you for listening to Here's My Point. Hopefully, you'll come back for some more my assessments on various topics that come across random topics. Again, here is my point. You can check it out on my YouTube channel that I have. You can just do a search on here's my point, or you can do it on certain topic. I have like Populec. I talk about the Powalks and the math theories someone put out for math, and for the electoral vote, which is populec.com. And I do, and one of my most viewed rants is about the GOAT conversation as far as the NBA goes. Again, thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Hope that answers your question. Hope that sums up any details that people may have or where I get my assessment of Michael Jordan probably not being my GOAT. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.